Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 series, Rescue the Rockies. And the 2037 season is off to a really good start for our Rockies, a 38-14 record, despite some pretty significant injuries that may come back to be issues for us come playoff time. Lost our number 2 starter, Noah Schultz, for the year after just a few starts, so certainly not optimal that we will be without him, but clearly the team is playing very well despite that injury and some others. Before we start moving forward with this month of June to see if we can keep this good momentum going, I wanted to check in on a couple of things brought up by viewers in the comments section to the last episode. Dustin Durbin highlighted the monster season that our new catcher, J.D. Lee, is having. Picked up the 29-year-old in a trade with Miami, and he is having a ridiculous start to his career in Colorado, hitting .368 with 11 doubles, 9 homers, and 30 ribbies in 133 at-bats. You look at what he did a year ago for the Marlins with just a 92 WRC plus and a 1.7 WAR for the full season, and it's shocking how good that he's been. We look at his ratings and certainly don't expect that he's going to keep hitting the way that he has. That said, we have, given that we are platooning him with Nate Harris, put him in a situation to take advantage of the fact that he is a well above average hitter against right-handed pitching and definitely a below average hitter against left-handed pitching. This year, he's got 133 at-bats on the season, and only 5 of them have been against left-handed pitching. So we've clearly been able to put him in a situation that he can feel pretty comfortable with what he's going up against when he's at the plate, and he's definitely made the most of it. Durbin did also ask to check in on how the players that we traded for him are doing, and 4 of them are either in the majors right now or have spent time in the majors for Miami. Juan Fernandez, the guy who hasn't, the young catching prospect, his the young pitching prospect, his spent time in A, and also pitched 1 game in high A ball for the Marlins organization at this point. Looks like he is going to be very borderline useful unless he gets some significant improvement at the major league level, so he was not a big part of the deal. We did trade Carter Jensen, the catcher that we had picked up in a trade, I believe actually maybe even that same day, earlier in the day before we found the opportunity for Lee. So he's with the Marlins, and he's hitting .222 and 45 at-bats. Looks like he's their backup catcher, which is the role that we envisioned for him when we had made the trade for him. Does have 5 extra base hits, so he's been an above-average offensive player, above replacement level. Certainly a useful player for them. Brad Davidson, a guy who had kind of languished in our farm system given the depth of outfielders that we had, back down in AAA with the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, but he did hit .235 and 17 at-bats earlier this year when he was making his major league debut. Orlando Morales, former IAFA acquisition, who was at one time one of the prized prospects in our organization, but injuries really stripped his stamina. Thought that he could be a potential starting pitcher when we signed him, and injuries have also certainly pulled his ceiling down, but he's been in the majors all year with Miami, started 5 games for them, 0-1 record with a 3.06 ERA. Clearly with that low stamina, they're using him as more of an opener than anything else, but he has been decent. And then certainly the most interesting piece we gave up was Gregorio Olvera, who was an all-star with us a couple of years ago, a member of our last 3 championship teams, and a guy who had been our 5th starter at times, or a very useful bullpen arm. And he's joined the Marlins rotation 4-1 with a 3.31 ERA over 51 2/3 innings. So similar to the pretty consistently solid performances he had over the years with us in Colorado. 28 years old, he certainly seems to be continuing that with the Miami Marlins. And we did just promote the former first-round pick Jeff Colson, the number 39 prospect in baseball, to take over as our fifth starter, given some of the injuries that we've had in our rotation, not just to Noah Schultz, but also to Mr. Guadrone, who had taken over as our fifth starter when we lost Schultz. Colson just recovered from an injury, 2-3 with a 4.41 ERA in AAA Albuquerque this year. But the 23-year-old is fragile physically, and he looks like he's pretty much ready to be a major leaguer, given that who knows how often he's going to be healthy. We're going to let him throw as many pitches as possible in the majors at this point. Certainly view him as a more than acceptable number 5 starter. To make room for him on the team, we sent down another former draftee, and that was Jason Axelson, the former fifth-round pick in 2035 out of UCLA. He was brutal in 2 starts for us. Allowed 13 hits, including 2 home runs and 6 walks over just 8 innings. So he put up a 9 ERA and a 2.38 WHIP for us. So with Colson finally being healthy, we'll send Axelson back down to AAA for some more seasoning. But did get the question from Holdor, given the situation we have on the pitching staff right now with Schultz being hurt, and Guadrone also being hurt, and us using some of the younger AAA talent in our organization as our fifth starter, as to exactly what happened with the international free agent from last offseason, Satoya Wada, who was looking for around $10 million a year for 3 years, ended up signing with the Houston Astros for that amount. 2-2 with a 3.53 ERA for the Astros. So he has been fine. Holdor definitely wanted us to pick him up, and doesn't like the fact that I didn't. I did mention in the comments to Holdor that if I had known that Mr. Kawakami was going to come back from his injury without really the stamina to start, may have been marginally more interested in bringing Wada on for $10 million a year. But honestly, at this point, even with Schultz hurt, when I think about Leo Martinez as our number 1 starter, Russell is our 2 starter, Bell is our 3 starter, and Barrera is our 4 starter, the best thing that Wada would be for us right now is a 5th starter. And with the money that he's making and the fact that we do have some pretty interesting talent like Colson banging on the door of being ready for the majors, I still don't really regret not signing him yet. If we lose one of those top 4 starters, there certainly could be a scenario where I'll regret not having Wada on the team, and we'll probably need to pivot and try to pick up someone to supplement the first 4 spots in the rotation in the trade market, assuming that a guy like Colson doesn't just come and grab onto that spot, which is certainly possible. So Wada kind of is what we thought he was when he was looking for $10 million. Pretty solid major league starter, off to a good start with Houston. But I don't know that he would be a true difference maker if we had to pitch him as our 4th starter in the playoffs. The hope is that ultimately our 4th starter in the playoffs will be Bernie Barrera, or perhaps someone even better than Barrera if we do end up making a trade down the line. And we're going to have a little more variety in the schedule, fortunately, for this month of June. We've played a lot of divisional games over the first couple months of the season. Only 2 series against divisional rivals this month. We'll be at San Francisco this upcoming weekend, and then home against the Padres later in the month. But a good mix of games, a lot of NL East teams with the Mets and the Braves and the Marlins all on the calendar. A couple of series with the Brewers, who are one of the better teams in the National League, and we'll also be facing the Cubs and the Angels before this month finishes up. And the first 2 weeks of the month of June have not been great for our Rockies. We lost 3 out of 4 at home against Atlanta, lost 2 out of 3 on the road against the Giants, lost 2 out of 3 on the road against the Cubs, and finally took a series taking 2 out of 3 at home against the Mets. We've got a homestand continuing against the Angels and then the Padres over the next few days. A couple of off days on Monday and Thursday this week while on a homestand, which is certainly nice for the players. And then we'll finish off the month with a series against the Miami Marlins, sandwiched by a couple of series against the Milwaukee Brewers. Taking a look at the standings, the Dodgers have closed the gap on us to 8.5 games in the division. Our 43-22 record, still the best in baseball, but only 3.5 games up on the Brewers for the best record in the National League. Our old nemesis, the White Sox, and the Astros are not far behind us in the race for the best record in baseball either. J.D. Lee once again has enough at-bats to qualify for the batting title, although as we talked about, would certainly expect that he will slow down given the way his ratings actually look. Castillo, the rookie, and Roberts Jr. still tied for the league lead in homers. Roberts Jr. leading the league in ribbies. OPS also, as he is having a outstanding year for us, bouncing back from what was a slow year for him. Justin Gibson up to 9 wins on the season out of the bullpen at this point, and Adonis Valere is tied for second in the NL with 19 saves midway through this month of June. And after that slow start to the month, the homestand ended up being pretty successful. As we talked about earlier, we took 2 out of 3 against the Mets, split 2 games with the Angels, and then we swept 3 against the Padres. So at this point, just 7 games left in this month. Going to be on the road against Milwaukee and Miami before we come home for that second series against the Brewers before we get to the month of July. 70 games into the season at this point, 47-23, and we're closing right in on our mid-year evaluation from ownership. And the former first-round selection, Jeff Colson, doing better as our 5th starter than Jason Axelson was. 1-1 record with a 3.52 ERA over his first 3 starts. Struck out 16 batters in 15 1/3 innings, which is nice. The big criticism is that he has given up 4 home runs in those 15 1/3 innings. Basically been a replacement level player. Certainly the home runs that he's given up have not been optimal, but he certainly is holding his own, and the reason we let you know that is that David Guadrone's return from the IL looks delayed at this point. Still going to be out another 1 or 2 weeks trying to recover from that herniated disc. So good that Colson seems to at least be holding his own in the majors while we wait for Guadrone to get healthy, and then we'll have some decisions to make. And I did mention at the top of the episode that the only way I'd feel potentially more significant regrets about not signing the international free agent Wada was if we started to lose some more pitchers, and unfortunately we do have a setback for Bernie Barrera. Strained his oblique while trying to get his child out into the car seat. Going to be out 2 weeks before he can resume baseball activities. Barrera, who started the year as our 5th starter, promoted to the number 4 spot in the rotation when we lost Schultz. Just turned 26 years old yesterday. 5-5 with a 3.78 ERA for us this year. 1.8 WAR on the season. So the scouting discovery back from 2028 has been doing a nice job for us over the years, and certainly has been handling that number 4 starter role capably for us. Unfortunately, we're going to miss him for the next couple of weeks as we head towards the middle of the season. And with another spot open in the rotation temporarily, given that Axelson struggled so much, we're going to let another prominent member of our farm system make his major league debut as well. Evan Kluver, who we picked 30th overall less than a year ago out of the University of San Diego, going to get an opportunity to be our fifth starter for the next week or two, likely, until we hopefully at some point get not just Barrera back, but also Mr. Guadrone. Kluver started the year in Double-A Hartford, where he was 4-2 with a 3.66 ERA. 4-1 now in 6 starts in Triple-A Albuquerque with a 3.78 ERA. Kluver doesn't look like he's going to be a superstar, but does certainly look like he could be a useful back of the rotation pitcher when all is said and done. Certainly doesn't have the potential that we thought he had when we brought him on board, but still think he could hopefully be a contributing pitcher for us over the next few years. And he's likely to get a start or two over these next few weeks before most likely ending up back down in AAA once we get a little healthier in the rotation. And the month of June now in the books. We lost 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee before taking 2 out of 3 in Miami. Split the final 2 games of the month at home against the Brewers. So certainly not as good in June as we were in the first 2 months of the season. That said, still a 51-27 record. The best in baseball by a game and a half over the Astros. 9.5 games up on the Dodgers in the division. J.D. Lee, Johnny Castillo, and Kevin Roberts all continue to have very big offensive seasons for us. Taking a look quickly at our team statistics almost halfway through the season. Only a 500 record for us in June. Our 51-27 record now lines up perfectly with expectations. We still have a dominant offense, first in the league in scoring and most offensive categories. The exceptions, interestingly, being home runs, where we're 7th, middle of the pack, walks, where we're 2nd, and strikeouts, where we're 8th. Very good base running team, first in the league in base running, 3rd in steals. Average in defensive efficiency, although we are number 1 in the league in zone rating, and 4th in the National League in runs allowed. Pitching staff generally in the top 4 in most pitching categories. The only exception there is BABIP, where we are middle of the pack, ranking 7th. And we split the first 2 games of July with Milwaukee, so that'll be ended up splitting a 4-game series there. Made it to the midway list. We've got the top 10 prospects list, and positively, Carlos Barrel Davila now listed as the number 4 prospect in all of baseball. Interestingly, though, he has been struggling since we promoted him to Double-A. I know that there were some of you out there who felt he should have started this year there. I was a bit more cautious with him, but obviously did promote him after just the first month in high A ball, hitting just a $192 in 156 at-bats. Does have 12 extra base hits. He's only 20 years old, and he looks like he can handle AAA. Probably gotten a little bit unlucky when you look at his batting average of 270, or his BABIP of 278. That probably indicates that there's been some degree of bad luck, which hopefully will turn. But we generally haven't had too many top 10 prospects. I think Kevin Roberts Jr. may have been at some point, but nice to see that Davila is getting recognized for his potential, and we're still very interested in seeing what he may look like at the major league level. And at this point, it's not inconceivable that he could be making his major league debut perhaps as a September call-up a year from now in the 2038 season when he's just 21 years old. with our 52-28 record. Generally a positive review from Mr. Monfort on how we're doing, although he's not happy that we did not sign Ezekiel Tovar to an extension. Also wants better results from us in road games. Overall, still happy with our progress towards our goals and delighted with our overall performance. So feeling pretty secure in our position in the organization at this point. The lead on the Dodgers still 9.5 as we have 82 games left in this season, and that means it's time for us to do our annual roster review and mid-season review of the team before we finish up this episode. And we'll start off taking a look at our pitching staff. A little bit concerned about our ace, Leo Martinez. 4-3 with a 4.17 ERA is not horrible, but this is a guy who has won 3 consecutive Cy Young Awards, and I believe he was a 80 overall pitcher with better stuff not that long ago. So at the age of 27, it seems like perhaps our ace is starting to deteriorate a little bit. He was an 80 overall guy just a little bit over a year ago, and he did hit 55 stuff and 80 control. Hasn't really lost any velocity yet, and his movement in his latest scouting report is a little bit better, but certainly seems like perhaps Martinez has peaked. 4-3 with a 4.17 ERA. 11 home runs allowed already this year, so giving up more home runs than he previously has. Still a WAR of close to 2 over the first half of the season, so certainly having a good, solid year, but definitely has not been as dominant as he has been in previous seasons. Bob Russell, the new addition, who was bumped up to our number 2 starter with the injury to Noah Schultz. 7-6 with a 3.69 ERA for us, a 2.4 WAR. So he has been a really nice addition since we picked him up from the Atlanta Braves. We did give up some talent for him. This is something else that Dustin Durbin had asked me to take a look at, and since we're talking about Russell, we'll do it right now. Traded 3 pretty interesting, relatively young players to bring him on board. Tev Rumler, pretty interesting hitter. The 23-year-old hitting .253, but does have 14 homers and 32 ribbies and 16 doubles for the Braves. So he's put up a 143 WRC plus and a 1.2 WAR for them. We felt like we had depth in the outfield, and it was okay for us to give up Rumler. But as we kind of think about what he's doing, certainly may regret losing the switch hitter down the line, even though we didn't necessarily love his defensive ability. We also traded away Kevin Wayment. He was a guy who kind of got caught in a numbers game, hit 22 homers for us as a rookie a couple years ago, spent most of last year down in AAA. He's hitting .295 with 7 homers and 26 ribbies for Atlanta in 166 at-bats, 124 WRC plus for him. So he is doing well as well. The real prize was Dan Patterson, the number 71 prospect in baseball, former high draft pick of ours. He's actually down in AAA Gwinnett right now. Was 2-1 with a 6.75 ERA while making his major league debut for Atlanta. Still looks like he could be a pretty solid major league pitcher with a good personality. But certainly for the near to medium term, definitely expect that Russell is going to be a more productive major league pitcher than Patterson, and that's really what we are focused on right now. Aaron Bell, in his second year with us, didn't necessarily adapt as well as we had hoped a year ago, but a little bit better this year, at least in terms of the record. A perfect 7-0 with his 1-loss record. Lowered his ERA a little bit to 4.10. His FIP minus slightly better, although his ERA plus is a little worse this year. A win above replacement. So when all is said and done, honestly, a relatively similar season to what he did a year ago, despite the fact that he does have that 7-0 record. Jeff Colson, who's been bumped up to the 4th spot in the rotation, given that we are missing so many pitchers at this point. 1-1 record still, although he has pitched 5 games now. 3.12 ERA, a little bit above replacement level. So the former first-round draft pick seems to be holding his own at this point. Evan Kluver has only gotten 1 start a few days ago, lost the game, gave up 5 hits and 2 walks in 4 1/3 innings, so not the most impressive major league debut for Packy Kluver, last year's first-round draft choice for these Rockies. And fortunately, David Guadron is ready to potentially come off the injured list. We may need to give him a rehab assignment, given that it's been a little while at this point. 2-0 record for him with a 1.93 ERA over 42 innings pitched. Certainly would anticipate that as soon as Guadron is ready to join us, Kluver will probably be headed down to AAA, and Colson will slip back to the number 5 spot in the rotation. And before we get into our outstanding, at least the back end of the bullpen is outstanding. Before we talk about those guys, talk about some injured players. We touched upon Guadron already. Bernie Barrera, as we talked about not too long ago when he went on the IL, 5-5 with a 3.78 ERA. So those are 2 guys who are in a Noah Schultz gone world, 4th and 5th starters for us, most likely. So could be getting Barrera back relatively shortly, as well as Guadron. Mike Gerard obviously gone for the year after that injury he suffered quite some time ago. And Elian Pena, we put him on the IL when Derby Majes came back a couple weeks ago. Pena has actually been pretty good for us, hitting 285 in 151 at-bats. 4 homers, 15 ribbies, stolen 10 bases, basically been a league average offensive player, put up a 1.2 WAR for us, so certainly has been a pretty useful infielder for us. He was playing shortstop more often than not before he got hurt, but he's been dealing with that quad strain since late May, about 6 weeks at this point. Mentioned when Majes came back shortly ago. We put him on the IL to help him recover, but you can see the recovery time is still unknown. Hopefully it won't be too long until Pena is ready to rejoin the team. And I mentioned that the back end of our bullpen is ridiculous. Lefty Adonis Valer is our closer. 22 saves and a 3.13 ERA, striking out almost 13 batters per 9 innings. The big ding on him this year is he has allowed 5 home runs in just 31 2/3 innings, so an 0-3 record to go along with those 22 saves, but he remains a very effective pitcher for us. Justin Gibson, 9-3 record, also has a save. 2.91 ERA over 43 1/3 innings, and he's striking out almost 12 batters per 9 innings. Another very strong season from Gibson. Josh Joss, perhaps having the best year of any of these relievers, an ERA just barely over 2, 34 strikeouts in 26 innings, only 5 walks, only allowed a couple of home runs at this point. Whip below 1, close to a win above replacement. And the last of those 4 outstanding relievers who are typically pitching for us in the late innings is Chris Kennedy, 4-0 record with a save this year, 2.59 ERA, and he is striking out a ridiculous 17.5 batters per 9 innings, 70 Ks in just 41 2/3 innings, a 1.3 WAR this year. Arguably, though, it's a down year for him compared to the outstanding year he had a year ago when he was not just named an All-Star for the first time, but also earned the Mariano Rivera Award. Rich Hannon has had a nice year for us as a middle reliever, 3.71 ERA, about half a win above replacement, not striking out quite as many batters as the guys who pitched the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings for us, but still has been useful. Melvin Reyes, unfortunately, having a bit of a rough introduction to the majors, an ERA of over 7 in 25 and 2/3 innings pitched. The issue with him is the 16 walks that he's allowed. His control, we don't think, is really that bad, so hopefully things will get better going forward. Kikaku Kawakami has spent a couple of brief stints on the IL this year, but he's been effective when he's been healthy with an ERA of just under 3 over 21 and a third innings. Mentioned that he came back from serious elbow injury with a lot less stamina than we had hoped. Thought he could potentially be a guy who was in the mix to be a 4th or 5th starter for us. Unfortunately, it looks like he'll most likely just be a solid reliever for us. And Wellington Herrera, former closer, former late inning guy for us, is now primarily a lefty specialist who can also pitch in middle relief for us. Only 13 and 2/3 innings this year, has an ERA of just under 4. Basically has been a replacement level guy for us. We've got a team option for $5 million for him next year as he gets older. Given how good the rest of our bullpen is, most of his value at this point is the fact that he's a really solid left-handed arm for us. But between Guadrone and some others, we do have some other lefty arms that aren't too far off from being able to contribute in this organization. And it's not inconceivable that Herrera could be pitching his final season in Colorado right now. Turning to our position players, catcher Nate Harris, who's been our starter most of the last couple years because of injuries due to Mike Gerard, moved to a platoon role, playing primarily against left-handed pitchers this year with the recent addition of Mr. Lee. Hitting just .220 this year, no home runs in 82 at-bats, just a 63 WRC plus, and he has been below replacement level. Harris will be arbitration eligible next year, set to make about $2.5 million. If Gerard comes back healthy, could mean that it might be time to consider moving on from Mr. Harris. Talked about J.D. Lee already this episode. He's having a ridiculously good year for us. 355 average, 18 doubles, 3 triples, and 11 home runs. Definitely seems to be enjoying the power alleys here in Colorado with his line drive hitting profile and his spray tendencies. Doesn't have great power, and his speed is not good. But a lot of extra base hits for the soon-to-be 30-year-old catcher. OPS of over 1,000 this year, and a ridiculous 4 WAR midway through the season. Taking a look at the batting splits, still has only 14 at-bats against left-handed pitchers, so we definitely have been able to have him focus primarily on the right-handed pitchers, where he is pretty effective when he is at the plate. Turning to our infielders, Ryan Stone, Mr. Consistency, driving in runs and hitting for an average like he always does, 300 average and 48 ribbies. The home runs way down this year, though, only 6. Does have 26 other extra base hits with 23 doubles and 3 triples, 123 WRC plus and a 1.5 WAR. Ryan Stone, who was our first round pick out of UVA 9 years ago. 30 years old now, soon to be 31 in 10 days, and he just continues to produce very consistently every year. Manuel Torres has been up for a little while now with the injury to Mahez, and then the fact that we also kept him on the team when we made the other move with our injured infielder. 279 average for Torres this year and 43 at-bats. Does have 1 home run for us, 119 WRC plus, slightly above replacement level. He presumably will be headed back down to the minors once Pena is ready to return from the IL. Johnny Castillo, the youngster, got off to a rousing start, has slowed down a little bit recently, but still having an outstanding rookie season. 279 average, 22 homers, and 56 ribbies. 135 WRC plus and a 2.3 WAR for the young infielder. Think he is probably a very strong Rookie of the Year candidate. Rosnile DePaula, with the fact that we do have Castillo up here and he's playing every day, getting much less action this year, and he's also been banged up with injuries at times, as he always seems to be. The batting average for DePaula just 217 this year, only one home run in 115 at-bats, 79 WRC plus, barely above replacement level. DePaula set to make $9 million next year. Could be getting towards the point in his career where he may be getting a little too expensive for what he is, or even more than that, perhaps how we're going to use him with the other talent we have on the team. Trent Kaysen, hitting 236 and 195 at-bats, does have 13 doubles and 5 dingers, 90 WRC plus, almost a win above replacement for the utility infielder who plays primarily against left-handed pitching. Last but not least, Derby Mahez spent some time on the IL this year, has played in only 44 of our first 80 games. Definitely struggling this year at the plate, hitting just 208, 6 homers, 21 ribbies. The WRC plus is only 74. Still is above replacement level. He's a good defensive player, has stolen 5 bases this year, but after 2 straight 2020 seasons, looks unlikely to reach 20 in either home runs or stolen bases this year, unless he is very healthy over the second half of the season, and also much more productive than he has been over the first half of the year. And we'll now move on to our very strong crew of outfielders. Mike Castro, the rookie first-round pick out of southeastern Louisiana in 2034, hitting 258, 21 doubles, 3 triples, and 7 home runs in 318 at-bats. Basically been about a league average offensive player here during his rookie season, has stolen 15 bases for us, and 1.5 WAR overall. Off to a nice start in his major league career. Phil Dingwell, getting less playing time this year now that he's no longer a rookie and pretty well developed at the age of 25. He's been productive, 277 average with 7 home runs and 112 at-bats, 132 WRC plus and a WAR of 0.7, but Dingwell only regularly in the lineup against left-handed pitching. Ted Miller, having for him a down year, 261 average with 8 homers and 42 ribbies, basically only slightly above replacement level and slightly above average offensively. Miller's primarily a DH for us. Still has a profile that suggests he should be pretty dominant against right-handed pitching, but his production this year hasn't been exactly what we've expected. I guess the positive with that is he's heading into his free agent years, and his demands have come down a little bit. $18.5 million a year for 8 years. He was in the mid-20s this past off season. I don't know that we look to bring him back, although he is a pretty important left-handed hitter for us. But if we decide we might want to pursue that, his struggles this year have brought his price down. The question is whether he's really becoming a less useful player as he heads towards his 30s. Anthony Pack Jr., still our regular center fielder, hitting 252 this year, 20 doubles, 7 home runs, and he's stolen 26 bases in 31 attempts, 107 WRC plus, and a 2.7 WAR. He continues to add most of his value on the base paths and with his glove, but offensively has definitely been better this year than previous seasons. And then, of course, Mr. Five Tools, Kevin Roberts Jr., had a bit of a slump for him in June compared to the incredible start he got to this season when he was named the National League Hitter of the Month in both April and May. But midway through the season, the batting average back up to 295, which is more what we expect from him. 21 homers and 75 ribbies, so he looks well positioned to far exceed the number of home runs and ribbies he had a year ago. Right now, with 20 steals and the 21 homers, on pace for the first 40-40 season of his career after becoming a pretty regular member of the 30-30 club. OPS over 1,000, 163 WRC plus, and a 3.9 WAR for the 3-time most valuable player, who is going to be turning 29 years old. It's hard to believe, before the end of the month. He was our 5th overall pick 11 years ago, and quickly developed into one of the top prospects in baseball. And with that, we'll call it an episode. We don't have a lot of holes to fill on this team. I guess the one thing we will check on before we finish is whether there's anyone interesting on the trade block. Taking a look at the top batters out there, we've still had Ted Miller on the block for a while, although we probably wouldn't be looking to trade him this year. Catcher Mike Grant and the injured right fielder Steven Martinez are two of the other top players who are available. Don't necessarily think there's anyone there that's really going to be a difference maker for us, with the fact that we're getting an outstanding season right now from our catcher, Mr. Lee. Pitching-wise, our former reliever Ryan Kerkering, among several useful arms on the trade block. Tyler Bremer and Justin Fiorentino, along with Roki Sasaki at the age of 35, are the top starting pitchers who could be available. Sasaki certainly looks like he would be a good influence in the clubhouse. Definitely has the profile of a guy who'd be a 4th or 5th starter for us. 5-4 record with a 4.38 ERA. Also signed for close to $30 million next year when he's going to be 36 years old. Don't really know that that would be a trade that we'd be looking to make. Looks like he is certainly attainable if we wanted to take on that contract. Just don't know that that would be the most prudent move for us at this point, although he's probably better at this point than the youngsters we've had rotating through the 5th spot in the rotation. Don't know that we really want to be taking on that contract, given that the hope is to maintain a little bit of financial flexibility for this upcoming off season. So as always, a lot to think about as we start getting closer to the draft and the All-Star break. Next time around, we'll sim only a week and a half or so till we get to the draft, take a look at some of the top prospects that are available, and then turn things over to the worldwide scouting department to help guide us in our decision making. But that's for the next time around. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.